Hi and welcome to Orbit. This is the Moto Razr 60 Ultra and it breaks many records and it holds many firsts. It is faster, more intelligent, more enduring than the previous generation. Is this the moment where a flip phone could be as good or maybe even better than a regular smartphone? This is my review. Usually people don't comment on my phone, but when using the Razr 60 Ultra, they did. Maybe because it's just a small block when I take it out of my pocket. Maybe because half of the back is a display. Maybe because of the colors and materials. But maybe because it simply stands out. It's quite a bit thinner and lighter than a regular smartphone too. 7.2mm. This is pleasant in hand and ensures it doesn't get in the way, even in small trouser pockets. There are several color options. Not only is this the first smartphone with Alcantara made in Italy, there's also a version with real wood. One of my first smartphones ever, the Moto X, had a wooden back, and the Moto X style too. And when I designed my dream smartphone, it also had a wooden back. For years now I've been begging Motorola to bring back the wood, and now it's back and I couldn't be happier about it. It looks great, it feels great, and I love the contrast with the rose gold brushed aluminum frame. The hinge is made out of titanium and is 4 times more stable than before. It feels great, is dust and water resistant, IP48 to be precise. The outer glass is now Gorilla Glass ceramic and said to have 10 times better shatter resistance. I can't really confirm if that number is true, but I did drop it and it did not break, but if it would only be 7 times as strong, that would have been also great news. So I don't think that you have to be concerned when using this phone. Durability is great. The outer display is large with 4 inches and the cameras and the flash are part of it. I think this looks very futuristic and way cooler than Samsung's Flip 6, but if you believe the rumors, Samsung will shamelessly copy this on the Flip 7. Actually, it doesn't really matter because what distinguishes Motorola from Samsung is the software. Not only you can see the time, weather, date and battery level at a glance, all messages pop up here and you can reply with a full keyboard without even opening the Razr once. There are widgets for calendar, weather, time and much more. You can actually put most of your apps here. I love to use WhatsApp, the calculator, Spotify or Google Maps on the outside. That way I don't accidentally get sucked into social media and everything is comfortable with just one hand when I'm in a hurry. You can also ask Gemini any question on the outside display and use the main camera for selfies. It's a bit like having a small square smartphone. One thing however that bothered me is cleaning. Dust collects around the lenses like crazy and you can't even get rid of it because the lenses are ridged. It's just pointless. It will never be clean. When you unfold the Razr, you see a huge 7-inch screen. Yes, that's right, we arrived at 7 inches. This is possible to thinner bezels and a very long 22:9 aspect ratio. The width is also very comfortable when typing on the keyboard, and the additional height means that I see more of chats, Instagram or websites at a glance. The resolution is quite high, 464 ppi. The brightness is 4500 nits, the typical brightness 1500 nit. This makes both the inner and the outer display the brightest on all flip smartphones and also brighter than, for example, a Galaxy S25 Ultra. The refresh rate goes from 1 to 165 Hz, so quite a bit smoother than most smartphones, but that only applies to games. In day-to-day use, it only goes up to 120 Hz. The colors are also above average. This is the first Pantone validated display, so it meets the strict requirement of a company that has been specializing in colors for decades. The grease in the display has become more subtle. You can barely see and feel it. This makes me hopeful that the screen protector will now last a bit longer than on my girlfriend's Razr 50 Ultra. You can replace it, but it's annoying. The Moto Razr 60 Ultra might be small, but the tech inside of it is quite big. It's in Snapdragon 8 Elite with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of UFS 4.0 storage. Ordering in Uber. And there is more planned in the future. The processor is 45% faster than the predecessor, around 25% slower than a Snapdragon 8 Elite though. That's because of throttling. The Razr can get very hot when gaming or doing benchmarks. But what do you do with all that power? Apps open instantly, stay open forever, animations are buttery smooth, games run in 165 Hz even smoother. And this here, especially important, of course, is artificial intelligence. It's called Moto AI and it even got its own button. Press it and a window opens where you can ask questions directly. Gemini then answers this with access to all the Google apps. But you can also use Perplexity. This is the first smartphone in cooperation with Perplexity, and the AI can even do stuff for you like ordering an Uber. And there is more planned in the future. Motorola isn't committing to one AI, they are integrating all of them at once. There's also Copilot and Llama from Meta. The latter can summarize all your incoming messages and you can also directly reply. It's currently not available in all languages. Based on the screen content, like a chat for example, you can also generate images or an Amazon Music playlist. Moto AI can transcribe, summarize and remember content. It is so much, it's very overwhelming. And another new feature, you can place the Razr half folded and it recognizes when you look at it, and then you can speak directly to the AI without saying a vague word. It is slower and less reliable, but I think it's a cool idea. Motorola software has been one of my favorites for many years. It's very close to a pure Android. I never get tired of praising the gesture control. Chop your device twice and the flashlight turns on, twist it twice and the camera opens anytime. It becomes second nature and is incredibly practical. When you connect the Razr to a monitor, you get a Windows-like desktop interface and you can work with that. Now there's also support for virtual Meta VR glasses and you can work inside of them. I've never seen another smartphone do that and I think it's very cool. Despite Gemini, there's also Circle to Search, and you can directly search displays, objects, QR codes, music and translate texts. But I do have some criticism. Only 4 years of Android and 3 years of security updates is below average. And furthermore, Motorola is sadly quite slow when it comes to rolling out updates. So they have to work on that for sure. Do you remember how I said that this smartphone is pretty thin? Well, the battery has actually increased by 18%. It's 4700 mAh. And then there's Motorola's excellent software optimization and we get the best battery life I've ever experienced on a flip phone. Not only that, it's actually better than some regular smartphones too. Even though I was many days in New York City and was using the phone constantly with high screen brightness, a lot of camera use, GPS is quite poor in New York, the battery life always put me through one entire day, and when I'm back home in my regular life it can be 2 days, which is awesome. With the previous generation I had around 6 to 8 hours of screen on time and I have the same, maybe even a bit more on this device. There's also fast charging, 80% in just 30 minutes. No flip phone charges that fast and Samsung, Google or Apple users can only dream of it. Even wireless, the Razr has 30 watts. There is reverse wireless charging, but sadly no MagSafe. Okay, last point on the agenda are the cameras. All of them are 50 megapixel, even the one for the selfies, so that's easy to remember. The main sensor is 25% larger with an f1.8 aperture. The ultra-wide angle is back, it was gone last year, and the sensors are hardly smaller than those of regular smartphones. I took almost 500 pictures and let me show the best ones I took. Motorola has greatly improved color reproduction. The images are close to what my eye sees. Accurate skin tones, friendly greens in nature, high natural looking dynamic range in difficult moments. The photos are now natively saved in HDR. The contrast is nice and deep, the sharpness is good but nothing special. There's a touch too much sharpening going on, but that's the case with the Google Pixel as well and everybody seems to love it. When you photograph other people, the rear display can turn on and they can see themselves. This is not only pretty cool, everyone loves it to quickly check on their hair and babies look into the camera more often that way. There's also a Pro and a RAW mode, so you can take pictures without processing. Every time you open the camera it says Pantone validated. That means Pantone also collaborated to capture natural looking colors and skin tones. There is no optical zoom, but 2x digital crop looks top notch. I did not find it worse than the 2x of the Razr 50 Ultra, which was optical, and honestly even 4x looks better on the new Razr. You can zoom up to 30 times, I don't get why. Next year I want to see a third camera, at least a 3x zoom. The ultra-wide angle is above average. I always think you make a compromise when you compare the main to the ultra-wide angle, but here it's surprisingly minor. Colors, contrast and even sharpness are comparable. There is an autofocus and macro mode. There's a new feature where you first edit 5 pictures to your own taste and an AI learns from it and then it creates your own color filter. The selfie camera is okay, but I practically never used it because when you close the phone you can use the main camera and that looks awesome. You can also just put the Razr everywhere half folded as a tripod, which I love. There's also been improvements in video. 8K at 30 FPS or 4K at 120 are possible. However, the difference in sharpness between 4 and 8K is only very slight and only in good light, so save on storage on that one. In low, there's no log and no 24 FPS option, and the stabilization I think is average. All in all, the video mode is surprisingly good for me. Sure, there are better ones, but I like how flexible I can use the Razr. Half folded, for social media you can see yourself with the main camera. It's just great. Conclusion. It's not really surprising to me that Motorola has been the fastest growing smartphone manufacturer on earth for a couple of years now, because their phones are just good value. This phone, it is special, it has character, it has wood, great battery life, great screen, great performance. I do love the software and I do think that the camera is better than most people think it is. It's just an all-around great phone, but it's also quite expensive. It's 1,300 euros in Europe at launch, but Motorola devices tend to drop quite quick, so I think you can get this phone below 1,000 quite soon. I think it's safe to say that the Razr 60 Ultra is the best flip smartphone right now and maybe even one of the best smartphones on the market, and I'm highly tempted to use it as my own device. Thanks for watching this review. See you on the next one. Bye.